Record. Now, if you could hit record.
No food on my teeth.
And hit it again. And now you say sound speed.
Sound speed.
Camera speed.
Okay, Hannah, camera A, take 1.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
Could you spell your first and last name and say it for us?
Hannah Rumsey, HannahRumsey.
Okay, great. So just remember to keep your eyes over here and then answer my questions in complete sentences.
Okay.
Okay. Did you grow up in Chicago?
I did not grow up in Chicago. I grew up in Virginia. Newport News, kind of on the East Coast.
Okay. Are you a child of the 90s or like the 2000s? What decade did you feel like you grew up in?
I was born in 1992, so the 90s. Yeah.
Okay. So you have a smartphone today?
I do have a smartphone.
Okay. Tell me, can you go into detail about your experience? Do you remember getting your first smartphone? And can you tell me about the experience surrounding that, like the day you got it and like what you went through your mind when you first got it and how it affected and changed your life?
Yeah, so I actually refused to get a smartphone for many, many years. All through high school and college, I still had a dumb phone, I guess. It was the kind that you slide and it had the keyboard. And I actually really loved it. It was kind of like a Nokia. It was like a tank. You could drop it and then just put the battery back on and it would be fine. And I was so proud of it, actually, because I was very obstinate and didn't want to rely on a smartphone like everyone around me. And I remember I was at a party and I was boasting about, like jokingly boasting about how it was like a tank, and I threw it on the ground and it broke. And then I had to buy a new phone, and the only options were either flip phones or smartphones pretty much. So I caved and I bought a smartphone. So that was when I got my first smartphone.
Nice.
Let's pause for a second. I'm going to do a technical thing. We don't have to cut. We'll just keep rolling, okay? One thing I noticed is that the axis of this is pointing away from her mouth. So I wanted to really get that so that it's actually pointing at her mouth.
At the beginning there, I heard it broke up a little bit. It was nothing.
Okay. Sometimes that's just on the wireless mic, and it's just a little bit of RF radio frequency damage that was caused by a passing car or something.
And we're not worried about like background sound, right?
No, I mean it is what it is. It is what it is. So we're still rolling. So continue on whenever we're ready.
Okay. So when you got your first cell phone, how did that change your life for better or for worse? And then what was your overall feeling? Were you elated or were you not in love with it?
I didn't like the fact that I had to rely on it, but I think my favorite...
Okay, stop.
Yeah, sorry. Answer in complete sense for me. Just set it up. Say, No,
don't tell him what to say.
Okay.
Just say, remember to use my question in the answer. I once stopped a guy, this really intense executive, and he says, I was about to get to it.
Leading the witness.
So you don't know. She was not going to go back to put that beginning part of it in. You knew that, but be careful. You never want to say it this way.
Yes, okay.
You never want that's leading, and it's not. It's wrong about in an interview situation.
Gotcha.
So continue on and go.
Okay. You set it up for me. Just use a complete sentence, and then I'll rephrase the question. Can you elaborate on the first time you got your cell phone and how it changed your life for better or for worse?
The first time I got my smartphone, I was really excited about Google Maps. Before that, I honestly don't know how I ever got anywhere. It's amazing how quickly you forget. I think I used MapQuest, and I would print out the directions, the step-by-step directions, well into the 2000s when everyone else had stopped doing that. But the MapQuest was just a complete lifesaver in just getting, not MapQuest, sorry, Google Maps was a lifesaver on getting around the city.
Okay. Let's see. What other ways did smartphones help boost your lifestyle and make it more convenient in a day-to-day way? Like how were cell phones more of a convenience for you?
Smartphones have been more of a convenience to me because of the Google Maps and also the email aspect of it, makes it a lot easier, especially with work. You can check your email pretty much any time in the middle of the night if you wanted to, which can also be a bad thing because it makes you more anxious about it. And you might get a notification about your emails any time of the day, which will distract you from the moment, maybe a conversation you're having with someone, and then you're pulled away from the present moment by an email that you got that you might have checked later on your computer before you had a smartphone.
Excellent. Can you remember a time pre-smartphone?
Okay, I'm really curious about a follow-up question on this. What does it mean to you to be in the moment?
Okay. That's good. What does it mean to you to be in the moment?
Being in the present moment, I think, is extremely important. Having that immediate connection with someone and talking to them and maintaining eye contact is something that I think is missing a lot nowadays. Even being in the moment on the train, looking around at people around you, noticing your surroundings. I try to make a conscious effort to pay attention to my surroundings, looking out the window, noticing people. I love people watching. Everyone else, or a lot of people around me, have their faces buried in their smartphones. And I'm just thinking of all the things that they're missing that are happening around them in the real world, which I think is really sad.
Excellent. That was really good. Where do you see down the road, do you see smartphones being a benefit to society, or do you feel it being like a hindrance and maybe being taking a negative impact?
I think it's hard to say whether something will be completely bad or completely good. I think a lot of things is a double-edged sword. I think that in the future, smartphones can be really good in that it can give someone better access to other people, more immediate, convenient access, emergency access. I don't know if you're stranded and you're lost and you have Google Maps, or you can call 911 when before you had to find a payphone or something. But it can also be really bad because I definitely think that it's shortening people's attention span. I've also heard a lot about young people especially having more body pain because their heads are always down and your necks are always pointed down. You don't even realize it, but it's causing you physical pain that's probably going to last many years because your body's just always in this position. So just even little things like that people don't really think about can be have really long-term negative effects.
Nice. That was very good. Can you tell us about, what do you think in 30 years from now, where do you think smartphones will be, and how do you think they will be interacting with them on a day-to-day basis?
30 years is a long time, I think, in the technology world. I honestly don't know if smartphones will exist. I think it might be, if not a chip implanted into your body, it might be kind of like a smartwatch, but a lot smaller, like maybe a chip that you put on your wrist or something crazy like that. But it's really hard to know the future, and it moves so fast, so maybe a hologram that floats around with you. I don't know. It could be anything.
That was really good.
Ask her about the future. Does she feel good about what might happen in the future, or does she feel bad about it? I mean, don't put it in necessarily binary terms, but how does she feel about it?
Okay. How do you feel about the future and smartphone and technology in general with interacting with humanity? Do you I don't want to say, all right.
Don't lead.
Okay. How do you feel about it in general? Can you tell me about your outlook for the future with smartphones and human interaction?
My outlook on the future with smartphones is I'm kind of scared. I think that, I see 2-year-olds and 1-year-old babies playing with smartphones and iPads or whatever, and they don't know how to turn the pages of a book. And that generation and the next generations are just going to become more and more glued to the screen, and the only way you can calm them down is by shoving the phone in their face. I think that stunts growth, mental growth. It also stunts the emotional intelligence and knowledge of how to interact with other people. When you go out into the world, you have to suffer through uncomfortable moments and talk to people when you're at a party, but now if you start to feel uncomfortable, you pull your phone out and pretend to be texting someone. I'm guilty of that. But before that, you had to actually figure out how to navigate that social interaction. So I feel like it'll be that and worse.
Tech thing, she hit the
Okay.
her chest.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to just do that last question over then?
Yeah, let's do it one more time. That was really good. So just
But there was a technical glitch.
yeah, so we had a technical glitch, so we'll just redo that one. I'll ask it to you again, and then give me a shorter, more condensed answer. If you could say it maybe within 30 seconds. So what are your feelings surrounding humanity and smartphone interaction in the future? What is your perceived outlook on where you think we're going to be going with this technology?
My outlook on where we're going with this technology is that I'm pretty worried about how people are going to be able to interact with each other. Sorry,
No, you're
I
doing
forgot
good.
what I said. The question, I'm sorry.
That's how do you foresee technology and human interaction with smartphones down the road? Do you for instance, do you have a positive outlook, a negative? How do you foresee this eventually going ahead in the future?
I foresee our relationships with smartphones to be a lot of the same in the future, but probably worse, and that will be more attached to our phones or whatever they will become. Sometimes I think of WALL-E, the movie, and how they had the screen just in front of them all the time, like a hologram screen. And I'm kind of afraid it might be something like that in the future, where we just always have some sort of screen permanently in front of us. That's kind of a fear that I have.
That was really good. So would you say maybe you have a more dystopian take on the way things are going?
I think I definitely have a very dystopian take on where things are going.
That's good.
And you want to cut?
Yeah.
Let's cut.